This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. If we can all please go on mute if you're not speaking, that'll be hugely helpful. So we're going to give another minute and kick off with some of our icebreaker activities before we start for people to join in. But in the meantime, it's good day, Shweta. Thank you very much. Nice to see you here. If you're coming again, welcome again. If you're joining the first time, super excited to have you on the session today. Do reach out to us later with your questions, and also check out Aspire for Her community for the new people who don't know that. So we've launched this just under 3 weeks ago. It's going to be 3 weeks exactly tomorrow, and the team is very excited about it. Some of us just feel that we've been working together for so long. We started with money conversations, how to talk about money with your friends and your family and your colleagues and be comfortable with it as women, with our partners from Womoneysta and Pay It Forward. And we have, of course, our partner from Womoneysta, Neha Singh, again today. Then we followed with psychology of money, what all little things we all need to sort of change in our minds to again get comfortable with the idea of having our names on our properties or bank accounts or checkbooks or many other things that we tend to think, oh, it's somebody else's job, etc. And today we are gathering again for an extremely interesting topic, which is financial security. We all know the term, but we don't know what it means. And the good thing is it means different for everybody. So we'll dive into it very soon. But before that, our usual check. We're going to keep letting people in. And I'll hand over to Steffi for some of our icebreaker questions. And if the Aspire for Her founder, Madhura Das Gupta, joins the call, we'll also give her a minute or two to share sort of her reflections, what she's been sort of looking on from the sidelines, and also as my co-pilot, my guide on this initiative. And then we'll let Anu, sorry, my apologies, Neha, do her magic. Over to you, Steffi.
Thank you, ma'am. So let's get started. We have a few questions, as ma'am mentioned, before we kickstart the session, which will really help break the ice. We'll keep it interactive, so please send in your answers through the chat box. Here's my first question. What do the words financial security mean to you? I'm also putting the question in the chat box. I repeat, what do the words financial security mean to you? Being independent financially, yes. Okay, guys, waiting for your answers. Feeling confident that you can manage finances yourself. Assets bring passive income. Relief, okay. Not having to worry about money, yes. We all want to. Having money for retirement. Support during difficult times, absolutely. Having access to money when you need it, correct. Securing the future. Having extra for a rainy day. Oh, well, accurate. To be able to sustain even without working during tough times, correct. Also after retirement. Right, I'm so glad to see these answers. I think we're all on the same page here. Yeah, so having said that, we'll move on to our next question, which is, what are the financial lessons that you would hope to pass on to your kids? I repeat, what are the financial lessons that you hope you can pass on to your kids? Start savings from the first pocket money, right? Know how to make money as an enabler, not a fear. Save, the power of compounding. Know how to make money, save, yes. The power of compounding, absolutely. Start early savings, yes. Very, very, very important. Multiple sources of income. The chats are going back very fast. And always own her money, correct? Setting financial goals, make money to be wise in their expenditure, save before you spend. Wonderful, beautiful responses. To keep a balance between savings and spendings, to be wise in their expenditure. Yes, I think most of them are related to savings and the value of money, which is great. Um, these are things that we should learn from the very beginning. Okay, so I think I see Madhura ma'am on call right now. I would like to request her to say a few things. And over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Steffi. This is such a special moment. And, it's actually amazing. Simran just mentioned that this is barely 3 weeks into the launch of She Knows Money. And super proud and super impressed with what we've managed to achieve within that 3 weeks. And I must tell you how all the people got together here. Okay, I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of people on with their videos on. I'd love to see more people with their videos on, but Simran actually joined us as a mentor. She lived all the way in Poland, Sweden, and it is so amazing that she decided. She's not from a financial background, but she decided that she wanted to pick up financial literacy as what she wanted to do at Aspire for Her. So super proud of the way in which we've sort of put this all together. With of course, without Simran's leadership, I think we would not be standing here today, because we all got together, we thought of lots of things. And because I am from a financial background, I must tell you that there were more things holding me back than going forward. And it was Simran's, I would say, interest and persistence and her encouragement that actually made us jump into financial literacy and say, let's get started. So happy, Simran. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for, getting us all together on this platform. Vidya, of course, is part of Aspire for Her. She leads our operations and technology. And Vidya is also a very passionate advocate of financial literacy in young kids. So, they've all come together with a purpose. Steffi wrote to me a few months ago, and Steffi, in fact, I didn't know Steffi at all from where she came from, but she wrote to me with such passion that she wanted to do something around making women financially independent and making women literate about their financial choices. I could not ignore her message. I could not ignore her mail. Not that we ignore any mails, but it was so compelling that I thought that it's very important to get Steffi into this team also. And Neha is one of our first entrepreneurs to join Aspire for Her. We worked together when UN Women came in and said, hey, can you give us some exciting folks who work with women and money? And I thought of Neha, and Neha is also proudly featuring in the UN Women website. You must see that if you haven't already seen that. So Neha and Womoneysta have also been a very interesting part of our growing up, Aspire for Her's growing up, really. And this is how these 4 very different people from different parts of the world have got together and created She Knows Money. And there are many other people in She Knows Money as well. And we will talk about them. I'm sure Simran has lots of plans about introducing all of them to you, and some of them have already come on our platform. But it's been such an amazing journey to do this with all of you. And this is such an important topic for Aspire for Her as we try to add 1 million women to the workforce by 2025, 10 million by 2030. If you do not understand money, if you're not financially literate, you've not even taken the first step towards financial independence. And we know many women who are actually earning very handsomely, but then they hand over their entire earning to a male member of the family and do not do anything that they could have done potentially to do something with it, to create something of value with their money. And that is our humble endeavor to get all of you to talk about these things, to reduce the friction and the unease that we have about talking about money. Women have a very uncomfortable relationship with money, complicated relationship with money. We want to just take that away and make it a beautiful, seamless journey where we have a happy relationship with money. We earn it, we spend it, we grow with it. So thank you so much, Simran, once again for doing this and for getting everyone together. I'm really looking forward to the session, Neha.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
Thank you so much, Madhura. And thank you for opening up the whole Aspire for community for it. I was just thinking about the vertical and Madhura said, nope, it has to be for the entire community, cross communities, cross everything. We, of course, have lots of plans coming ahead. Some of them will keep them secret because we're still working on them. But let's dive in today. I think we can kick off our poll, Vidya or Priya, very quickly before we then hand over to Neha.
Yes, ma'am. Launching the poll. I think between the first two options, there's a race to who will be on top. I think currently the second option is leading. Okay, I'll leave it on for 5 more seconds, guys. Okay, ending the poll.
If I can take 1 more minute, Simran, I can see Parna is here, and I'd really like to take a second to congratulate Parna. I must tell you Parna's story. Parna joined us in our She Days community, and she literally put in blood and sweat behind, ensuring that she gets certified by AWS. And yesterday, Parna, was it yesterday? She has joined AWS full time.
Wow,
I
huge
just wanted
congratulations.
everyone to
Parna.
celebrate with us, and Parna has
Thank you so
given out
much,
a
ma'am.
picture as well.
I'm a little messy to come on camera.
But I think huge congratulations. And once you're settled at AWS, which is a great company, I'm at IBM and AWS is a big partner for us. Let's talk about the earnings you're making and how you're investing them. And we would like to showcase your story.
Yes, definitely.
All
I hope
righty.
to grow it,
Love it.
with all your advice.
That's
Yes,
Simran not missing a
we're gonna be
beat,
working
not
towards
missing a
the
beat, okay?
Yes.
no, we're gonna make a pie chart for everybody very soon, where you can see your portfolios. All righty, over to you, Neha.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. And it's been such a wonderful start to the session. I am feeling the pressure, and all of those who've been attending my sessions earlier, it's rare for me to feel the pressure with Madhura in the room. I think the pressure is on me now. But it's one of the topics which, I think it's a topic which we talk very less about, but it concerns all of us in the secrets, areas when we're sitting with ourselves in our bedroom, sometimes anxious, sometimes stressed about money. But rarely, unfortunately, do we talk about this stress or anxiety with anybody around us. So it's a wonderful and very important topic around financial security. So I know you all have already done a poll, but I wanted to start the session by asking you one question. In fact, I will ask the question before I jump into what Womoneysta is about. I will come back to this. But before we get into what Womoneysta is about, I want to ask all of you, is financial security, is it a feeling? Okay. Or is this something which is linked? Is it logical? Is it tangible? Is it linked to my state of finances? What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat box. What is it? Is it a feeling or is it a state of finances? It's a reality. So just connect that word, what it brings to you. Fear is a feeling, but with right mindset, it is the state of finances. Interesting. Both. Let's go. Is financial security a feeling or is it a state of finances? Dependent on each other. Let's get a few more options. The latter, it's a state of finances. Okay. It's very interesting, right? State of finances. We can feel secure and see the state of finances and be assured. Beautiful. So I love how Parna has put it. And in fact, I picked this up from somewhere on the net when I was trying to figure out, what is it actually? So it very well is a feeling it refers to that peace of mind that you feel, like Madhura rightly said, that feeling of being stress-free when you aren't worried about money, right? It is a feeling which comes from a reality, and that reality can be broken down into 4 parts. We've broken it down into 4 parts, okay? If you have an emergency fund, if you have taken care of your bigger risks, if you are debt-free, and if you have assets of your own. These are actually 4 very tangible parts of that sense of security, or that feeling that you get that I am financially secure. So today's session, I'm going to run with you around the emergency fund, around insurance. We will also talk a little bit about savings because it's a part we cannot ignore. But before that, a quick little introduction of Womoneysta and myself today. 1 second, sorry about that. Yes. Womoneysta is a platform which was launched in 2020, and with a single vision and dream that we're going to bring more and more women to talk and get enabled with tools, with knowledge, which will help them own their financial decisions. Over the last 2 years, we've partnered with platforms like AFH and many others. We've also been running multiple personal finance workshops. We've launched a one-on-one consultation service exclusively for women. And the best part is that over these 7,000 plus women that we've interacted with, most of them came from a non-finance background, and they turned into first-time investors. So they moved, the shift happened from being savers to investors just by that little push and nudge of learning and community. And that's exactly the endeavor that I have with this huge community, that we can start having those conversations and build on that learning so that we can take it forward, right? So let's jump into learning about an emergency fund today. Do you all know what is an emergency fund? Would you all know what is an emergency fund? If there's even one person in the room who says, no, I don't know, I'm going to take it up on me to say, hey, listen, let me tell you what it is. What is an emergency fund? Everyone knows? Okay. For the ones who are not talking to me today, please talk to me. Quickly, very quickly, emergency fund is a crisis fund, a small crisis fund. Ready cash, which needs to be available. Let's call it liquid cash. Let's not call it ready, as in it's not just sitting in your savings account, but it's available to you quickly. And there's no penalty if you were to get that money, right? Is it mandatory? Yes, it's mandatory. I think post-COVID, most of us have recognized that there will be a crisis which we cannot even be prepared with, right? So the first question which most of us might have is, how much is an emergency fund? How much should be an emergency fund? So I've read multiple posts online, etc., and I'm sharing what I have used personally in my system, and simply because it works for me, and I'm hoping it'll work for you. Instead of starting from income, the starting point for an emergency fund ideally should be your expenses. And here is my logic, right? If there is a job loss, which is a big emergency, if you're the bread earner, in that case, you still have to pay the bills, right? So the first cause of stress is that I lost my job and I don't know how will I pay the bills. So the first thing that you secure is to make sure that your monthly expenses, which you were paying, already are taken care of, and for how much time? For a period of 6 months. Okay, so minimum of 6x or 6 months, 6 times. So if my monthly expenses are say 20,000, I will do 6 into 20,000, 1,20,000 is an adequate emergency fund. Sometimes I also feel that a lot of women end up over preparing for emergencies. Do you think you're in that category where, sometimes you're like, no, I have way more than 6 times of my monthly expenses? If there are anyone in the room who would say, yeah, I end up doing that because I'm always feeling like, emergency can show up. That's very, very natural. But it is absolutely essential to realize that an emergency fund will only be able to earn very less money. Okay. It's not your wealth creating fund. So as women, one of the first lessons that we were taught was to save, save, save. And I feel like a lot of women just end up keeping all that money as the rainy day fund. Okay. If you are someone who's on the other side, you have too much money kept as emergency fund, please prune it, bring it down. 6x is good enough. If you're someone who is in a special situation, like for example, maybe you don't have a backup, like you're the only person in the family, a single parent, etc. Say maybe you're someone who is a freelancer, doesn't have an assured source of income. Maybe you're starting out new with your business. You're not sure of your sources of income are not very stable right now. Or also maybe there's a lot of family members who are dependent on you, right? Like maybe your parents are dependent on you, etc. You might want to consider taking this from 8 to 12 times. But beyond that, it's better to invest rather than keep everything in an emergency fund, right? So once you've done this, the next logical question is, where should I park this emergency fund? Okay. So like I said, ready cash. I said this money needs to be quickly available, but with no penalties. So I propose the 50-30-20 rule here, where you can look at parking your emergency fund. 50% of that can go into something known as a liquid mutual fund. Now, liquid mutual funds are a category of mutual funds which are safer. So it doesn't have guaranteed returns, but historically, they are proven that the ups and downs of these funds are very, very limited, which means that the volatility or the risk associated with this fund would be very, very low. And they also give you around 1 to 1.5% extra return over and above an FD, right? So typically what you're trying to do is you're trying to build an optimum mix of your emergency fund. You keep some money in savings, 20% of this money in savings account. You keep 30% of the money in a bank recurring or fixed deposit. Now you could keep this in a 1-year deposit or a 2-year deposit, not a very, very long-term deposit. And the remaining you could park in a liquid or an ultra short duration mutual fund. The entire idea of doing this, see, you could have just kept this money in cash and that's also all right. But why this division? The only idea is that, at least this happened with me, that at one point when my expenses were fairly high and I did 6 multiplied by that number, and I said, oh, this is a good chunk of money, which is just going to be sitting in my bank account earning nothing. And it made me feel super guilty that why would I just keep this money at lower than inflation, right? So that's the logic why I said, no, let's split it up in a manner where the penalties are negligible. At the same time, my returns on my emergency fund are at least equal to inflation. So it doesn't pinch me that, this money is kept somewhere, a large chunk, and I'm not earning anything on it, right? Any questions on this? Any doubts around this? Happy to take. Where is this liquid?
We have a question there in the chat from Soumya Kumari. I can read it, but Soumya, if you would like to unmute and ask the question yourself, we would encourage you to do that, please.
Hi Neha, I'm really curious to know, like, where is this liquid mutual fund saved? Because I have no clue about it.
Okay, so this is actually a type of a fund which you can go and buy whenever you're investing in any sort of funds. I'm sure we'll be doing session on mutual funds. So think of it like one type of a mutual fund which you can go and buy. What do they invest in at the back? So think of it like a basket, okay, of things that they are investing in. They are investing in some sort of bonds, okay, government bonds at the back. But that's not something you have to you're not managing it. An expert is managing it. And you can go and buy this from any mutual fund website. So that's a particular type of mutual fund. Does that help?
All right, thank you.
Does it matter which company's mutual fund we put our money in? In case of liquid mutual funds, I would say the difference between fund A versus fund B would be fairly minimal, right? I don't think it's a very, because there is just a certain range of returns in which they'll all play, right? So I wouldn't say it would matter that much in case of liquid funds, but if you were doing other mutual funds, and when we get to mutual funds as a session, then yes, then it does matter which not let's say company, but which scheme you're investing in.
We have a question and we have a hand raised. So let's quickly take the question. Sri Lata, would you like to unmute yourself? Let's take the question. What is the typical period good for liquid mutual funds?
So in case of an emergency fund, so if I was to park for an emergency fund, I would just leave it there till there is a need, A, to use that money, okay? Or two, if there was a change in my family situation and I needed to pump it up, I would then add to it. So in case of a liquid mutual fund, there you don't have to put a timeline. It's like an investment that you've done and that can continue for as long as you don't need that money. So here we're talking about building an emergency fund which can just be parked there and kept there. It can just be left there.
Fantastic. It's great that we have lots of questions pouring in, and we'll try and answer them as many as possible, or else we're going to work through a Q&A process for later stages. But Parna has her hand
I did not realize that I opened a Pandara.
I know. So Parna has her hand up. We'll let her ask the question and continue. And for the rest, we'll take a pause in a couple of minutes and, respond to those other questions as well. Parna?
Yeah. Hi, thank you so much. So, I had asked the question about does it matter which company we put our money in? So, I see a lot of people doing a lot of research of that company where they're actually putting the money into. So, do we really need to go into that much depth, that understanding where that company is actually putting the money into and whether it will benefit me? How much research is good enough before deciding?
So Parna, like I said, for liquid funds, specifically the category, the type I'm telling you, the range is not very wide, right? There, it's not required. But as soon as you move into different types and categories, there are many, many types and categories of funds. As soon as you start moving into higher risk categories, there definitely you need to do research and learn more and then take a decision.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
Let's continue.
So this was the small risks, right? So I call it the small risk, small crisis fund. But what happens to the big risks that can come without unannounced, right? For that, you have a product called insurance. Okay. Now, insurance, just like taxes, always gets this heavy sigh in the room. Oh God, this is going to be a heavy and boring topic. But I'm going to try to make it as interesting and crisp as I can in the time that we have. So we are going to talk about two major types of insurances, which all of us must know about: life and health insurance. Okay. I'm going to define these. So please listen to me carefully. What is life insurance and what is health insurance? Life insurance is a protection in case the bread earner or the person who was getting the money passes away. So it's a protection for the dependents or the people who are depending on that person's income in case that person passes away. Okay. That definition has to be very, very crystal clear. So now I have a question. Do you think homemakers require life insurance? You have that definition? I just told you. Do you think homemakers require life insurance? I have iPhone 13 saying yes, yes, yes. Yes, definitely yes. Let's go. Any one of you who's saying yes, please unmute and please tell all of us why you think a homemaker requires life insurance. Whoever feels a little confident, okay? So don't take it in the wrong way. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Gargi.
Hi,
I hope
Gargi.
I'm not interrupting anyone. I just wanted to say, although I'm a single person earner, but what if a wife who's completely dependent on the husband, or a mother who's completely dependent on the son for her livelihood, and suddenly something happens to the husband or the son and he passes away, then what to do? Where does the money come? So definitely life insurance for that homemaker is necessary. I think from
No,
my
so
end,
does
this
she
is what
need
my
to take a
understanding
policy
is.
for
Thank you, Neha.
herself? So her husband has to take or her son has to take. So I'll repeat
Take.
it, right? Life insurance,
Yeah.
I will take, for example, if
Huh.
my daughter is dependent on me for the income.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay. Now, so because if something happens to me, then who's going to pay the bills, right? For her.
Right. Yeah.
Now my question is, so I take the life insurance. I take
Okay.
it. Okay.
Right. Huh.
Now my question is, I put it in perspective again.
Hmm.
Does a homemaker need to take a life insurance on her name for herself?
If there is somebody dependent on that homemaker,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's required then.
Okay.
I feel so from my understanding.
Superb.
Yeah.
That's exactly now for everybody. So I'll pick that point.
Thank
and
you.
I'll just say this. Thanks, Gari. Thanks so much. So it's often misconstrued that a homemaker doesn't have economic value, right? Nobody is dependent on her because she's not bringing in the money. But if there are any homemakers in this room, I think you've got to agree that there is a huge economic value to all the work that you do in the family. If you were to be replaced, there would be a financial implication on the family, right? Yes, no, maybe. Any homemakers in the room who feel like, yeah, right, did not think of it like that. So if you're not there, maybe the family needs more support for the kids. Maybe the family needs, I don't know, a tutor, a driver. I don't know. So many work that a mom is doing today, me included, right? So that's the reason why now a lot of insurance companies have also started giving homemakers life insurance, which can be attached with the spouse's insurance. So that was point number one. Okay, now with that definition, that was for life. Let me quickly tell you the definition for health insurance. Health, I think we all know. In case there's a medical emergency, I need to get admitted, there's a huge expense. I need support from the insurance company who's going to come and pay the bill because I have been paying the premiums, right? That's pretty much the definition. For that big emergency, I don't have as much money. Who's going to pay? The health insurance company. Now, with these two definitions, can you tell me, is life insurance a must-have for everybody, or is it my choice? Like, basis my situation. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I will give a minimum or how much amount. But first, you all tell me, life insurance must have for everybody, or is it my choice? Yes, no, maybe, quickly. Yes, everybody should have life insurance. Okay. Let's go. Yes, everyone needs life insurance. Yes, it's a must for everyone. Okay, I like that. I have few things on my name, have no kids, so not required for everyone. I love it. So absolutely, it's not required for everyone. Unlike what your LIC uncle told you that you need it. No, if you're 25, 26, nobody's dependent on you. You have no kids, your parents are perfectly independent financially. No, you don't need to buy yourself a life insurance. Please do not waste your money by buying yourself life insurance. Okay, so it is mandatory only for those who have dependents. Dependents could be children, could be your parents, or if you have huge loans, right? I've also added this expected to have dependents because sometimes when you get married and you're thinking of having a family, etc., maybe that's the time when you should have this conversation about getting yourself life insurance. Health insurance, on the other hand, is mandatory for everybody. Okay, we all need to have health insurance. How much? Quick rule of thumb right here. So please remember that a perfect calculation can only be done by a financial expert if you speak to them individually. But as a rule of thumb, if you were to just go and check, 10 times of your annual income. So in case of your family, say your husband, wife with kids, you want to check whether you're adequately insured. Take your family's annual income. So if your family's annual income is 20 lakh rupees, you multiply it by 10, which means your adequate cover or protection should be 2 crores. That's the adequate amount of life insurance protection you need. Health insurance, I've put a figure of at least 10 lakhs, but really, if you ask me, another way to look at it is dependent on the city that you live in, your preferred choice of hospital. You can go and check what would be the cost of a, heart disease, the treatment of a heart disease, and that could be an approximate amount. For health insurance, one very important thing which I want to park here, do not, especially if you're say in your mid-20s and your parents are now becoming senior citizens or they are already senior citizens and you all have this one family policy, I would highly recommend that let that cover be kept for them and get out of that policy. If you're healthy and fit, get yourself an individual policy, simply because it becomes expensive for them to buy another policy. Okay, A. Second, the cover might not be enough for all of you together. And the third very important thing is that you need to now start building your individual benefits for your health insurance at a young age when you're healthy, right? So keeping this in mind, I've put at least 10 lakhs, but it really does depend on your health history. For all those who have been employed and your company gives you a health cover, please do not just depend on that one cover. Get yourself a small cover separately for your. Let's talk a little bit about life insurance, because this is one of those topics which, a lot of us have been very confused about. So I'm going to break this down into 2 parts. All types of life insurance policies are broken into either term plans or non-term plans. Okay, these are words that you will read in any document or hear in conversations. What is a term plan? A term plan is what gives you pure risk. It's like a protection. Okay, think of it like an umbrella. The main purpose of this plan is to protect your dependents, which means that I'm going to pay some money so that people who are left behind get a nice big chunk of money once I'm not there. Okay, its main purpose is to replace this income. And many times, typically, it does not come with anything called as a maturity benefit, which means, hey, I took this policy till the age of 65 and nothing happened. I'm very healthy and alive. What do I get for all these years that I paid the premium? Nothing. Okay. So this is where most of us are like, ye hum kyun lenge? Because hame to kuch mila nahi wapas. But trust me, in the next slide, I'll show you a simple calculation which will explain to you that why it's important to keep these insurance and investment things separate, right? The other thing is there are also some plans now which are returning you the premium. They are higher cost plans. Personally, do not recommend taking any such plan. I am a big fan of pure term plans. Okay, don't try to combine the two. The other 2 very common ones that you will see is a savings or endowment plan and a unit linked insurance plan, a ULIP. Okay, these are called non-term. They also have some protection, okay, but not very high protection. The savings or endowment plan, whenever you hear this word that we have a savings plan, okay, it's an insurance plan with a feature of some guaranteed returns. That's the feature of this plan. Okay, and if you come across this term ULIP, it's basically another insurance plan which says no, there are no guarantees. The returns will be linked to the market performance. Wherever they're investing, whatever is the result that you get there. So there are no guarantees in this plan. Okay. One quick hack, in case anybody finds this difficult to identify, where do I find these terms? So a simple hack which I use personally whenever anybody asks me about a policy is if you just look at the, if you look at the logo of the product or the brochure, whoever is giving you or suggesting that product, right under the name, you will find some keywords. Okay. So this is a hack for today. If you see this policy by Tata AIA, it says non-linked, non-participating life insurance plan. Okay. If you see this LIC, it's an endowment plan. So as soon as you hear the word endowment, It's non-linked means it's not linked to any sort of market performance. Okay. And here you will see it says a unit linked non-participating life insurance plan. So you can easily try to understand or identify which type of plan is being sold to you. Because sometimes people don't tell you exactly which type of plan is being sold to you. So you can just look at this yourself and be able to now identify easily whether it's a pure risk cover or a savings plan or a ULIP that is being sold. Okay. Which is the right option? I will open the floor for questions, but let me just run through this. If I was to choose, Neha, between a term, endowment, or a ULIP, which is the right option for me? Okay. So let's take an example. Every year, you're paying a premium of 10,000 rupees in case of a term plan. And against that 10,000, approximately you can get yourself a cover of 1 crore. Now, this is for a 32-year-old healthy person, okay, in India right now. Approximately this would be the cost. It could be 10 or 12, something like that, right? In that range. Against that, look at the size of the cover. The protection is nice and big, 1 crore. Unlike the investment plans or the non-term plans, for a premium of 1 lakh every year, you're going to get a cover which is approximately 10 times, okay, maybe 15 times. You can go back and look at your policies. You'll be amazed that every year you're paying 1 lakh for those LIC plans. And when you look at the sum assured or the protection, it'll be negligible. It'll be like 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. How long is the family going to last with 10 lakh rupees? You tell me. What is the kind of protection that your family is getting with 10 lakh? And this is especially to all the women in the room who have never looked at the insurance papers in their family. Okay, this is super duper important. Don't neglect this because this is like base zero of financial security, right? Now, interestingly, I use this 10,000 to buy this policy. You paid 1 lakh rupees to buy this investment plan. Okay. I paid 10,000, I still had 90,000, right? Compared to your 1 lakh. So I just went and invested 90,000 in, say, a basic mutual fund or some sort of investment, which gave me 10% return. After 10 years of paying this, of this investment, I got 16 lakhs. You also kept investing. You kept paying the premium of 1 lakh every year diligently. After 10 years, you will get 13 lakhs or 14 lakhs in either cases. Right? What happened? You got a low cover. You didn't make enough money. What happened? And the best part is, by the way, you get tax benefit across every type. So it's not like you get tax benefit only in this or that. No, you get a tax benefit across. It's just that we are constantly thinking that this plan didn't give me anything back. But we forget that the cost, what I saved here, I could invest it and I could have made more money on it. Right? So if I was to prioritize, priority number 1 is to protect yourself at the best price, which is a term plan. And then in case you are lost, you don't know where to invest, look at these plans only as investment opportunities based on your risk appetite. You don't want to take any risk. You're very happy with 5 to 6% kind of a return. Go for a plan like this, your typical LIC plans, right? If you want a little more return, you still don't understand anything about mutual funds, etc., go for this plan. But priority number 1 always remains getting a full-blown cover with a term policy. Now I'm going to pause and I'm going to take as many questions as you might have around life insurance because it's hot, hot, hot.
So we have quite a few questions.
Yes.
So let's give ourselves about 5-7 minutes. We have about 15
we have
minutes.
time.
So I'm going to try and start from the top. Vidya, do you want to pick the first question? Just to ensure some of them might be a little bit repeat that we've addressed. And I'm just to tell the audience that I'm actually copying these questions and the ones we're unable to answer, we'll try to address them through our social channels or in future sessions. So stay tuned just in case your question isn't answered. Vidya, go ahead. Do you want to pick one?
Yes, sure. So there's a question from Parna. Parna, do you want to unmute yourself or can I read it out to you?
Yeah, either way. So basically what I'd like to know is, in case of the endowment or the ULIP life insurance plans, when do we get the bonus and the returns? Is it after the death? Because if you get the bonus before, then obviously you can utilize that bonus and returns for something in life. So, but
fair point. So it really depends on a lot of schemes, on the feature of the schemes. So there are some plans which are called money back. What they'll do is, in that 15-year or 20-year long journey, they will promise you little money on the way, right? And I'm talking typical LIC in my head, right? So, but there are some plans that say, okay, hey, you stay with us for these 10 years, and at the end, there will be this bonus for all the years that you stayed with us, etc., etc. So it really depends on the features of that plan. But I would say, Parna, I think you need to step back and think of it this way. If you're looking at this as an investment, right? I would want to maximize, then I would like to look at the return. What is the return I'm making on this investment, right? And if I was to invest, then I would want to maximize my return. So if I'm making a 5.5%, 6.5% return, including that bonus, then the question is whether this is, could I have done better with my money? Is the question you should ask yourself, right?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha. So there's another question from Arun. So you want to unmute yourself? Should I read it for you, Arun?
Yeah, hi, Neha.
Hi, Arun. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. How are you?
Very well.
So I have one small question. So with respect to term plans, there are certain plans which are available, which is like a money back. Let's say they give you back some partial amount of money at the age of 60 or 70. So is it something good to go with? Because we know that, okay, rather than the typical ULIP or LIC, we should go for term plan. But in term plan, they have now subdivisions where they give some money back to us. Should we opt for that, or the ones which we don't get returns? That kind of nature.
So here is what you can do. These are called TROPs, basically term with return of premium. So what they're saying is that at the end of whatever the time period, 60 or 70, all the premiums you've paid me till now, I will return that. Okay.
Correct.
So if I was to do, let me just tell you on top, like basic math around this. They will charge you an extra premium because for this feature. So if a regular term plan was say coming at 10,000, they'll say, hey, listen, if you want this maturity feature, pay us 20 or 30% extra, right? Which means your premium has now gone up to 12,000 or 13,000. And at the end of 60 years, if I was to do the time value calculation, that what I get back for paying that extra 3,000 every year, they don't turn out to be the wisest option. Okay. Having said that, a lot of people just feel this sense of comfort ki mera paisa wapas aa raha hai. Okay. So if you're not optimizing for return, then I would say it's not a great plan. Still save up on that 3,000 invested somewhere else, make a better return. It'll be a higher return. If you're someone who feels, no, at least something should come back. See, the time value doesn't justify it as per me. The math doesn't justify it. But feeling wise, if you have that feeling, then make that choice. But know that it is not the optimum choice, is what I can say.
Okay, but eventually, like let's say per year 3K, let's say if I'm 30 right now, so for another 30 years, so 3K per year. So if that calculation, if you do like somewhere around a lakh or rupees, so if that is the case, then return what we are paying.
So
like
1 lakh basically at the age of 60 or whatever you will get, है ना? Uska us time ka value dekhoge to it will be nothing. Instead, if you invest that 3,000 today at 10% or 12%, that will become much higher in 30 years against that money that you're going to get, that 1 lakh you're going to get. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so but the return guarantee, do they usually give that initial principal which we pay? Like let's say 10K, instead of that 13 we are paying for these plans. Let's say that 13, they are gonna give us back at the age of 60.
Yeah, typically that's how the plan is structured. 13 multiplied by.
Yeah, it's like in that case it's like total 13 for next 30 years, whatever the amount is there which we have invested. So that we are getting it returned, right? So does it lesser than the actual amount? Like
if you want, I can do a calculator and send you, because I would have loved to
Yeah,
do it
that would be
now.
better. Yeah, please. We
In
will
the
connect on a
middle
call
of the
actually. That
session.
would be better.
But between
If
you and me,
if I could interject, I actually want to bring attention to our female audience. Thank you, Arun, for joining firstly and asking the question. But I also want to bring this attention to our female audience that Arun is not shy asking question after question after question. Also not shy of asking Neha to do the calculation and give it to him, right?
yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
right or wrong, I will leave up to each of one of you to judge. But the point here is speak up, ask questions, and ask for what you want. So Arun, I think
Absolutely.
from this point on, Neha is actually very social on social channels. She's reachable, reach out to her. If she's willing to offer her service to you, please take it. So if I could request, let's quickly move on to a couple of next questions that have been waiting in the queue.
Sure.
There's one question, I think Ripula has it here, which actually two of them are very interesting. If I could take them with there, if you don't mind. Ripula has a
Please go.
question. Does it make sense to take term insurance at 55?
Do you have dependents, Ripula?
Yeah.
55? Do you have anybody who's dependent on your income at 55? You or your husband? or-
Not, yeah, my husband is I mean, I'm a doctor, but I'm not earning as much. I'm just doing a part-time, kind of just taking it easy. So they're mainly dependent. We are all dependent on him, my husband.
He has a term insurance.
No, neither of us have a term insurance.
It'll be expensive for you to consider this right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one dip check which you can do is, do you have assets worth 10x of your income? If you all have assets which are
Yes.
worth 10x of your income or more,
Yes.
maybe you can pass it.
Okay.
Maybe you can let it be, because it
Okay.
I would still say do a check, but I still think it will be an expensive proposition at this age.
Okay. Thank you.
And then there's a following one from Somya, which I think is also a very interesting one. During emergency, which fund should we take out first?
Oh, that's a very good one, right? So, Soumya, I would go after the logic which I give you 20, 30, 50. I would also withdraw in that logic. I would take out from my savings account first, because it's the lowest yielding and easy to quickly to access source. I would then look at my FD, and then third, I would pull out from my liquid funds. So I would.
And as the community leader, and I'm learning, financial literacy every single day. One of my ways of deciding which instrument I want to break is where I'm going to lose the least money, and also depends on the liquidity of that instrument.
Absolutely.
One thing that I have learned is any instrument that's highly liquid has the least return. So it kind of goes correlated as well. If your investments are highly liquid, then they have the least return. You can make that decision accordingly, depending on your share, the distribution on that pie chart. Very, very good question. Actually, it also made me think on how, some certain things that just happen automatically in your brain over years of reading and self-learning. Great. We've got 6 minutes left, and we've got a couple of things to share. I think before we even thank you, Neha, I think you have something to share with the community.
I have
some
more.
giveaway.
I have more.
Yeah.
One last section, but I'm just touching on this because it is a section I cannot leave this room without talking about, which is budgeting, Simran. So I'm going to take everybody's 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, to go over this. Okay. And I just want to talk about the fact that a lot of us in the room, please raise your hand if you are somebody who resists budgeting. Please don't feel shy. Like, yeah, I resist budgeting. I think it's a dirty word, or it's a word which I don't like very much. Please go for it. Don't think that I'm going to judge you at all, because I know a lot of us, me included, when I was much younger, resisted budgeting. So I thought today we should just show you something called as a smart budget. Okay. The first principle of budgeting is that it's something that you have to write. It feels very limiting. Absolutely, right? Absolutely the right word. I used to feel exactly this. And when I start budgeting, I get this anxiety and this sense that, oh God, what am I doing with my money, etc., etc. So I'm getting some answers. I try to, I like it now and stick to it. Yeah, but it actually gives you back control over your money if you know how to do it in the right manner. So the first principle of creating a smart budget is to have it in writing. Okay. This is for those in the room who struggle with figuring out the answer to the question, how much should I save? That's a question I get a lot. How much should I save? How much should I save? So again, as a thumb rule, you can use the 50, 30, 20 principle again here. I've changed it a little bit. I've customized it to, my style as usual. 50% on your needs, 20% on your wants, and 30% on your savings. And this is mainly because I know that women can save more, first. And second, because if you're someone who wants to build assets, create wealth for yourself, you've got to look at a minimum of 30, right? Starting with 20 will just keep you in the average range. If you want to do more, start pushing yourself to have at least 30% savings. Some tips for those in the room who struggle with budgeting or struggle with managing their expenses, which I use now and helps me. 2 bank accounts, one for spending, one for saving. Automate savings in the first week of the month. So if you have a consistent salary, for example, you can just set a system that from your spending account, the salary comes into your spending account, shift it automatically within the first week into your saving account or the freedom fund or whatever bank account you want to name it as. And the third very important thing, which is a big one for me, is to categorize your expenses, because this is where the wow happens. This is where you start identifying, hey, listen, I didn't realize having coffee with that friend who was not exactly great for my mental health was a good decision. Okay. So these are the moments when you start recognizing your patterns and you can actually weed out some habits which you don't want to have and build a better money relationship. I'm also giving out a budgeting tracker. We will be sharing the link in the following mail. I thought I'll give you all do you all want a sneak peek? Do you all have time? Do you want to have a look at how this tracker looks? If we have like people saying yes, then I'm going to see it. If you all don't want to see it, also cool, no problems. You can always go and see. 3 yeses doesn't do it for me. Like
you can see the yeses are pouring. So
yeah,
let's jump
it's 50
straight
women in the
into it.
room. Simran, I think at least, there should be some like, yeah, and there should be like 3-4 essays, like some enthusiasm, no? Before we end.
I know, we've got 20 plus yeses.
Yeah.
So 50% of the audience is saying, yes, let's go for it.
Let's go for it then. Okay. So the link that I'm sharing, it's actually part of a free resource section on our website. And what we offer, thanks Arun for the yeses. Okay, I got it. So what we offer is it's an Excel. Okay, please don't get intimidated by an Excel, but it's fairly easy to understand and maintain. And it's been categorized into your income. So you can just put your income sources. This is all editable. Okay, change the months here, change your income sources, change the total income amount. The total income will calculate itself. Then it's broken down into your needs and your wants. Okay, something which I personally used to struggle with a lot. Like, what's the need? What's the want? So what we've done is we've just built out these categories for you so that you can just start writing down what you've actually been doing, your wants, how much you've been spending. And finally, at the end, it throws up your savings and your saving rate. And that's the rate. Remember, I told you 30%. So as soon as you start going below 30% is the time when you can reflect back and say, hey, listen, this month, zyada shopping ho gaya. Yeah, maybe, got to reduce those Swiggy orders and stuff like that. This helps you also look at the ideal. So on the right side, it has the ideal split for your income and what your current split looks like. So it also shows you which categories you need to prune down. So if your 50% is your need and I see 57% in my need, is there anything which I can do better here, right? Can I figure out a more optimum plan for my internet, etc., like lots of stuff for those, especially those who really struggle with budgets. This is important, helpful. My wants look really good. My savings look really healthy. So broadly, it's just one section and I can just, maybe figure it out, do a little better, and I'm good to go. So this is how it'll look for you. You can pull this down and use it, optimize it for yourself. I hope you liked it.
Yes, we will put the link in the chat as we have it, and also share it as part of our newsletters, which obviously would want all of you to join our community if you haven't joined it, if you want this in our newsletter. Otherwise, go online, dig for it, go onto Womoneysta platform
and
and
send you the link. Just go on the platform and download it.
Yes, let's run through. We are actually on time, but let's just run through your conclusion and then wrap up the session.
Yes, finally, just a few things, important things to sum up our financial security checklist. You're doing your monthly budgets, you have them in order, you have a clarity around your insurance policies, you know about the loans that you've taken are there in your family. Again, a lot of women tend to not be very aware about the loans that they all have together. And finally, you have a glimpse about your investments, where the money is going. Once you have a sense of 4 of these, I think together it culminates into that feeling that we were talking about, that peace of mind that yes, I think I'm feeling way more secure with my money. I hope you enjoyed the session. We have a special offer of doing a one-on-one with the Womoneysta team. You can scan this, book yourself a free 15 minutes discovery call with me or Rachna, who's an expert with Womoneysta as well. And finally, I have 3 interesting resources which I'm going to leave you with on this topic. If you like to read, I love this book called Your Money or Your Life by Vicky Robin. It was actually a revelation for me. And a lot of my budgeting style and tips and ideas were inspired by this book. And I actually practiced it many years ago. For listening, I also am a big fangirl of Monica Hallan. So she has this podcast on Spotify. And you must listen to this podcast about why you should stop buying bundled life insurance, the stuff which I was just telling you, term versus non-term plans. And for financial security, I actually have an entire video which was up on the Upgrad website. If you all want to access, I'm going to share that link as well, so you can go and watch it. It's called Becoming Financially Unbreakable. So yeah, 3 resources which you all can use. You have the free 15 minutes to come in and chat with us. And that's it from me.
And you have the budget template. So there's a lot of kick-ass actions to take to get started on, taking your first steps, micro steps on building financial security and then your future wealth. With that, huge thank you, Neha. You're not going anywhere. We're going to be having you back for many more sessions in the future. And please let us know if there are any specific topics you're interested in. We'll continue to curate them. And for the ones staying, thank you. We are a little over time. We'll take 1 more minute from you. Let's launch our final closing poll.
Yes, here's the poll.
So Vidya, while people are answering the poll, perhaps you can also do the wrap up.
Thank you, Simran. Neha, what a session. It was so packed. Thank you so much. And I'm sure each one of them would have really enjoyed your session. And we could feel that from the interactions and the questions and whatnot. So yes, thank you so much for this lovely session. As always, you were so bubbly and energetic. Thank you, audience, and we can't ask for a better group, right? It was so lovely to have all of you on evening. Thanks for sharing your time with us. And as Simran said, we have also put all the resources in the chat. Please do use them. And keep looking out on all our social media channels. We are coming up with real good sessions for all of you. And the next session is going to happen on the December 1st, 6 to 7 on the topic, Understanding Personal Finances by Pay It Forward. So Anu Seth will be the facilitator who will be doing the session for us. So do join us and spread the word. We have more exciting session for all our community members. Do join the community. You have the community link also put up in the chat window. So please spread the word, share it to as many women as possible. Let's together make it happen. Thank you all once again for the wonderful evening. And thank you, Megha.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being such an engaging audience. Hope to see you all soon. Bye. Have a lovely evening.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.